All right, so what are we going to do? I want to do the sauerkraut. I went to the, just jumped in the supermarket today and bought a couple bags of sauerkraut, which is what you probably do at home. Why I bought a bag and a half is beyond me. And
Okay. No rhyme or reason.
what you want to do,
Okay.
I mean, you can eat it just like this, but we want to get it where it's nice and soft and good. And what we're going to do then is get the water out of the sauerkraut. You're not going to get all of it, but we want to get the majority of it. All right, I'll put that right there.
And you know what's nice about everything we're cooking here today is you can leave it out. It it will be in
Right.
good form to eat a
Right.
little bit later.
It's not like you're leaving
Right
a
then.
stick of butter out there in 80-degree
No.
temperature. But people get a little paranoid about that, I guess.
Well, you wind up cooking hamburgers and they wind up being hockey pucks if you don't eat them right away. You know that.
I know, yeah, you can't. Certain things you can get away with and certain things you can't, and you got to know which is which. But the problem is attempting to do it all at the same time. You're doing too much under the gun, and that's bad. So what I'm going to do is push some of this. Maybe I can get a little plate I have right over here.
There is a lot of water in this.
Right, but we're going to saute it. In fact, I'll start getting the pan hot while I'm doing this. So the key to this is less sauerkraut than you think you need, because if you're going to do it this way, you can't put too much in the pan, and they don't eat it anyway. You're going to be throwing it out. Just have it where the last couple hot dogs are plain. So if you're not sure, between 3 bags, get 2. It just seems like it's always hanging around. Not to mention you're probably serving some cheese and crackers or something before the meal and some dessert afterwards. And it's hot weather. They're all drinking anyway. Iced tea.
I see.
Right, so there, we pushed a lot of water out of that sauerkraut, But now we have it where if I left the water in and I wanted to get this pan hot, as soon as the water hit it, it wouldn't do what I wanted it to do. So just going to get a little cheap grade oil here, a little vegetable oil. Going to wait till the pan gets a little bit hotter. We're going to, all right, we want to get this pan nice and hot, I guess, because I want, and like I mentioned already, we want to get the water out of the sauerkraut. And I'm not sure if I'm going to put all this in here, because my little bit of experience tells me that if there's too much, it's not going to happen right for me. And again, this can get done the day before. So you knock this out,
Great.
and you take in the sauerkraut and make it a frontline player. Not that you just, open the soubrettes, onions, and water, white sauerkraut, cold, French's mustard, and lousy hot dog rolls. I want it good, all right? We want the garnishes right. I was over at Picatinny Arsenal playing golf, and I got to the 10th hole there. It's all he had was bright yellow mustard on there. Come on, you got a little Dijon going here?
Yeah.
What's the deal?
Yeah.
So he was a Spanish fellow. He says, "You want spicy?" And there were these 2 squirt bottles sitting there. And I guess he had these chopped habaneros that he had cooked down and all this other
Really?
stuff. We put this on these hot dogs. I'm telling you, I thought I was like, he's smirking back there. I'll tell you what.
You asked for it.
We asked for it, and he gave it to us. There we go. So if you think you have too much sauerkraut, or you're like my mother and are going to have enough sauerkraut to feed the Polish army, then you put 2 pans down. God, there should be more noise in here. Right, you hear I'm putting this oil in?
Right.
And the noise level is going up?
Yep.
That means A, we're in control, and B, there wasn't enough oil.
Okay.
I know that now. It's only taken me 25 years to figure it out. All right, so we're going to move that around in here. And then we'll be finishing sauerkraut's finest hour.
And that doesn't take that long.
Oh, you'll wait till you see this. That's funny. That's just it. It doesn't take that long. Forget about it. My poor wife tried making this one day. She said, "You do it next time. Forget it."
Oh, no.
I guess I can get the noise. I guess I can hurry this along a little bit. I don't want any more moisture in here, so I'm going to dry the water off on this lid. I'll put this lid up on here to see if I can't make make the pan get a little hotter. A lid like that really helps. I mean, it's not what you want to do with bacon, but we can move this along pretty well. All right, and after we
Okay.
get that together, we're going to, I think I should have some French bread in this bag we just got today. Yes, we
Oh,
just happen to have
great.
some.
That really looks nice and fresh.
It's great, and
Yeah.
if you can take it, I've got an oven on just for this. If you can take it and throw it in the oven, you feel it's a little soft, right?
Oh,
But if you can
nice.
crisp it up a little bit, it's
Yep.
not going to get as crunchy as, let's say,
The
you know, some
Italian?
of these loaves that you can
Oh,
cook
yeah.
up. There's a little, you know,
Oh, that's
grandma's
right.
going to
That's a
break a
little
tooth on
crusty.
this.
Yep.
So crustier, you know. So French bread, heat it up. You don't have to serve it hot. You just want to get the crust to where it's a little, got some texture to it. Got that?
I like that.
Yeah.
What do you call that?
I don't know. We'll put that in the dictionary too,
Yeah,
right?
we'll call that a little chatter.
Yeah, a little chat. And what we're going to do, and you can do this, you know, do whatever you're doing at home, but it's not a bad idea. We have the chicken working. I have the steak sandwich. You could get some London broil. You can have nothing with it, just steak sandwiches. Maybe have garlic bread, garlic French bread to put it on. But, you know, the only problem you're going to run into is this one doesn't like onions, this one doesn't like that. You know, if you have enough stuff around, they can scrape the onions off, you know. Why make a mess? Because by the time you go out in these cold cut platters, you know what I mean? You got your mortgage payment 3 days late to get, you know, the olive loaf and the, oh, you wanted mayonnaise with that? You know. Sometimes you're better off doing some of the stuff yourself. So you can see we're just getting the sauerkraut moving. We're browning it up a little bit. Notice I'm stirring it and the noise level is still up. That's a sure sign that I don't have too much in the pan. But if you're, you know, a sauerkraut person, you know, this is not a bad thing to do. All right, I think that's about where we want to get it. We got the pan jumping. We got it's glistening with a little oil in there. I've got a few caraway seeds here. You don't want to put too many of these in.
Caraway seeds. Wow,
Right, they're
that's
gonna-
different.
They're going to dominate. If you're not too careful with them, they're going to impart a nice little flavor. I've got a little dark beer here.
Ooh. Oh, listen to that
You hear that
sizzle.
noise?
Yeah.
That's the key to sautéing, being able to keep that temperature. Anything else is poaching. So we're just going to cook that beer off a little bit. The alcohol will find its way out.
Oh, is that a nice color too? Nice caramel.
All right, so to help us along, I have a decent amount of water over here. I'm going to take this water. Now, this is very, very important. You see how much, you don't have to reduce the beer totally, but we, you know, just get it going. Now we're going to put this water in here, like that. So, I mean, this sauerkraut is swimming, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely.
It is totally dominated by the water. And this is the key to the mint. I'm going to put a little salt on this later. Although I did salt the water, I'll have to taste it to be sure. So all we're going to do now is reduce this. That's all we're going to do. I guess enough people are going to take one look at this and say the heck with it. I'll buy the other kind of kraut. So I'm going to put this French bread in the oven.
Okay. All right, so we're going to start working on this.
Yeah, it's a piece of beef
Piece
here
of
we
beef?
have. Yeah, it was,
Okay.
tell you the truth, it was kind of towards the end. And figure Greg likes the end cut. Nah, just kidding. But the we're gonna, you know, and what's good about it is, you know, there's 9,000 cuts of beef out there. So it depends which side of the family is coming over to the party.
Oh.
Filet mignon or chuck, okay?
No, that's when it goes into the refrigerator, right? And the cornflakes come out?
Yeah, that, right. Steak, what is that? All right, I got that pan hot. I put a little Earl in there. Now, all of a sudden, the steak or beef, whatever you did, it's nice to have beef. So we got the beef, the dogs, and the chicken we did on the last show. It was on the bone. You can pick it up and eat it. And we
That's right.
served it, cooked it the day before, and we put it out in one of these. That's how we got the chicken hot, with the barbecue sauce and the chives. The corn was done the day before. We put it in one of these larger ones, had it hot, kept it on for about an hour, and then garnished it. So, you know, you got half of your party going on already, and you know, you got most of it done. So you could cook this off ahead of time if you were making sandwiches, or cook the steak to order. It doesn't matter. But I'm not doing it on the grill. I'm putting it in a pan here. Flame's a little high. All right, that kraut. All right, now while the steak's cooking, I guess in the interest of time, since I was babbling so long at the beginning of the show, we're going to get this pasta and salad going. Let me check on this bread here. And when you put the bread in the oven like this, grab. It's still
that's
soft,
nice.
but
Yeah.
it's hot. But let's see
Yep.
what it looks like when it cools off a little bit, and we're
Okay.
going to make the sandwich, all right? It's still soft and all this other stuff. You got to talk to it. All right. So I'm going to do some penne. Where is the penne?
Where is the penne? We can't find. We
I
can't
found the
find the
penne.
penne.
It was right under my nose.
I don't
right
know.
here.
Where is it? Oh, it's right there.
Right here.
I can't believe it.
All right, I par cook some penne off. Don't use. I wouldn't recommend for this dish a linguine or I imagine angel hair. Forget
Right.
it.
Oh,
Don't get too
terrible.
cute.
No.
Maybe get this or a farfalla. The bow tie type. Maybe a rigatoni, although it's a little glommy. So I'm gonna. I've got a pound of pasta here. Yeah, we'll see how much this makes, folks. I've got that deep half pan and 1 pound of pasta. Let's see how this shapes up. All right, now I put it in boiling, clean, clear water, so there's going to be no starchy. All right, and we're going to let it simmer around there. I turned the steak while we were off camera. Notice how nice and brown it is there. It's got some jump to it. I'm going to season it when it gets out of the, when we take it out of the pan. There's 9,000 different ways of doing that.
And now your water's slowly reducing.
Yeah, the
here.
water's reducing. You can see, we got a ways to go, but we're doing other stuff. Also, when you're doing this pasta and salad, I'd recommend this. You do this an hour before your guests get there. I like it served at a little warm, not hot, not cold. So don't do this one ahead of time. Take it out and start stirring up the vegetables. It's just not going to be right. Also, to do it under the gun is ridiculous. Also, the dressing will break down. I'll go over that with you. All right, that's a thin piece of steak here. I'm just going to turn that oven off and let the heat pass through there a little bit. All right, let me just check it to make sure. Yeah, it's rare now, and hopefully it'll be towards medium rare. All right, now I'm going to just run over here and drain this water off of the pasta. I'm not even taking, I had salted the water. I had already salted the water before. And I'm leaving a little of the water in it because there's a tendency for this to dry out. Because the pasta wants to suck all the water up. And now I have a bunch of ingredients that I'm going to add to it. I was going to go over them before I started the dish, but I no-brain that. So what I'm going to put in here is some thinly sliced Bermuda onion. We do it on a slicer here. And
Yeah, I was going to say, that's beautifully thinly sliced.
Right, I'm going to tear this up. And again, this is something, you can say, I like what he did there, I don't like that. You add your own stuff in. Just don't add bell peppers. We appease to try to get color. I mean, to me, they dominate every doggone thing they go in. So try to use a little restraint there. I'm taking some nice tomatoes. You could take the time you can use sun-dried tomatoes, no tomatoes, and I'm going to add some Parmesan cheese. I'm going to add a little more of that later. Why, I don't know. It's just a phobia of mine. I'm going to add, the pasta was salted. I'm adding some white pepper here. There's a lot of pasta there. I'm going to add some granulated garlic.
Nice aroma already.
I'm going to add some salt.
Garlic with the Parmesan. Like that.
Oh yeah, that's great. It's got a little Italiano, a little Mediterranean touch to it. And what should I put in with that now? I guess I could put a few mushrooms. And this heat is going to break this stuff down just a little bit. So I have some sliced mushrooms. You can buy them all sliced already, if you so desire. So I'm going to see how hot that is. The smoke's coming off there. We got a pound of pasta in there.
Wow.
Let this heat start breaking the onion, tomato down a little bit, get it soft. It's got some salt, pepper.
And you see the heat is absolutely disintegrating the cheese as well.
Right, we're melting that down a little bit. And we have this balsamic vinaigrette that we make here. We just emulsified it with a liquid and we put it in a blender. That's all we did. You can use any type of dressing, I guess. A nice creamy Italian type wouldn't be bad. We'll We'll see how the steak comes up in a little while. It's a little more underdone. So I'm going to add this twice. I'm adding the salt and pepper twice. I'm adding the Parmesan twice, the vegetables twice, the dressing twice. Okay? You don't want to hit this stuff right on the numbers, because you might overdo it inadvertently. So we'll stir this up a little bit, and again, this is piping hot. So hopefully by the time you serve it, it's still got a little warmth to it. Onions are getting wilted a little bit. Tomatoes are breaking down. So now I have some asparagus that I had cooked off. I'm not putting raw asparagus in. I'm really glad they have this stuff facing in the right direction. And this is all your own judgment, just put more or less of anything in. And once again, you're not going to please everyone. If you don't like the asparagus, don't eat it. Pick it around. So we're going to add that to it. I've got some artichoke hearts that we cut down into smaller pieces.
Oh, great.
We're adding that in. So this is a pasta and salad. That's the key, okay? It's everything in one bucket. Again, we're going to have our steak sandwich, the hot dogs with the sauerkraut, the little chicken, no skin on the bone with the barbecue sauce, the corn we shucked off the cob. So you got to make sure this is on the money, because if this isn't there, forget it. I mean, why bother? So now I happen to have some radicchio leaves. We've torn them up, got them all so they're not clumped together. They're all individual leaves. You got to take a few minutes with that. We're going to put some of those in there. I've got a heartier lettuce. We have a romaine, okay? No whites, all greens. We're going to put that in there.
Oh my goodness, this is a meal.
All right.
It's a meal in and of itself.
It's a monster meal. And then I'm going to season the top of this again with the garlic. This is something you're doing not the day before, not under the gun. Some white pepper. But again, an hour before your guests arrive. If it's cool out, like most of these days have been, you can keep it right in the kitchen. You don't want to put it out in the sun, but maybe, or you can put it in the garage. Just get that, wherever it's about 70 degrees. Now we're going to put more of this dressing on the top. And again, the dressing is room temperature, not freezing cold. We'll just start working this in the bowl. And at the end, when you're about to serve it, you can always just maybe swish a little more dressing in there if you still saw that the pasta and the vegetables were absorbing it. But what's good about the radicchio leaves and the romaine leaves, if I put arugula in here, the arugula is going to wilt too rapidly, with these Boston lettuces and stuff. Iceberg, come on, not for this dish. Get off the iceberg, okay? And you can see that's, I can even add more of the dressing, I think.
I noticed it was still hot too.
Yeah, it's still very hot.
The penne.
Right. More of this Parmesan, and the Parmesan's going to suck up the dressing also. And like I said, just prior to serving, you can add more dressing just to be sure that it's not totally dried out. So look, we have a nice balance with the vegetables.
Beautiful.
Then you got your chafing dish. If it's enough people, you bring in a larger pan. Here we had a pound of pasta. Let's see how this fits into this little half dish. Not too bad. It's a little over. So, for a half dish, no more than a pound of pasta. You can even cut it back a little bit. I said before that maybe some tomatoes. Red shows up pretty well. Maybe a spear of an asparagus or two on there. Maybe a couple more tomatoes. You got your artichokes in there, get a little red color. But there it is, cover it up a little bit, and you've got a nice warm pasta and salad with a little balsamic vinaigrette on it.
And I think the sauerkraut looks ready, don't you?
No, it's
not quite.
We can see we still have that water in there. We want all the water out.
Yep.
Because more water will happen. It's a vegetable. It's always going to give some water up. But by the time this is done cooking down, all we're going to do is, again, I put salted water in. You want to put regular water. It doesn't have to be hot, just tap water. Notice it was swimming before, and now it's we're reducing that. Get all the water out of it, and by the time you're done, this sauerkraut is just going to have some real texture. It's going to be limp. It's just going to be great on a hot dog, bratwurst, whatever the heck you put on the grill, okay? It's going to be a good thing. And again, whether you cook the hot dogs off on the grill or boil them up the day before, have this the day before, have it all set, and maybe get one of those sternos in there and heat the doggone thing up, it's going to get hot an hour to an hour and a half right in that pan. You won't have to fuss with it. So it's a day before item, and it's going to come out really nice.
Great.
So if you have to put the grill on and all this stuff, of course somebody's going to whine that they wanted the dog grill, but tell them they can do that at the party that they're going to have 10 years from now. Okay? All right, so now all we're going to do is throw together this steak sandwich. We're going to let's check that bread out. See, it's a little. We took it out of the oven. It was still soft.
Stiffer. Yep.
Right, right.
But it's still soft.
Right, it's soft, workable, but yet it's
Yeah.
got a little crisp to it.
Sure.
Right? That knife wouldn't have made that noise before. I guess I'll cut the bread all the way through, and again, French bread is really good because if you put something moist on it, it's not going to fall apart in 3 seconds and all of the above. So we're going to take a little knife to the steak. Again, London broil is fine. Maybe some garlic butter for the top of this.
Oh, that's a nice idea.
All right, flip this together as quickly as possible. We're running out of time. Once again, I was yakking too much. And I'll cut this up just to give you an idea of what we like to do. And this is something, I'm sure Greg could flash our phone number up on the board because it is the beginning of the summer, and if anyone was interested in how we, going over it again to get from point A to point B on this, with a couple of the finer points, they're more than welcome to give me a call here to get this grillless barbecue together or to minimize the grilling under the gun. I'd be more than happy to speak to you about it. Of course, I'm trying to sell myself while I had you on the phone.
You don't have to do that. Especially now since we're seeing your posters all over the place.
Oh gosh,
Isn't that great?
I have one guy from Boonton told me that he normally went down Main Street to get out to wherever, and he said he started going in another direction. He got so sick of seeing my head.
Oh no.
Bob Barnish, he said, yeah, I'm sick of it. But I forgot about it, and I was driving back and through Boonton, and I didn't know where it was. I thought it was a little nondescript area. All of a sudden, I'm coming down Main Street, and there's Johnny Blockhead up there on the billboard. I was in shock. I was
Now
in
that you're a
shock.
big star, Dan, we'd like to get your name, your autograph,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
preferably on the bottom of a check.
Right, on the bottom of a check before you leave today, right? So all of a sudden, and I'm glad the sauerkraut's almost finished. We'll cut the sandwich up. Could you hold that there?
Sure.
Thanks.
Yeah, let's do that.
Right.
I love those caramelized
And
onions
what we're going to
too,
do is
you know
whip
that.
up we put our caramelized onions and fresh mozzarella on it.
Fresh mozzarella.
And the reason I wasn't going crazy about it, this is how we do it here.
Can't get any better than that.
Right, but there's, everybody's got their own attitudes about sandwiches and stuff. But again, this is our little cheeseburger. And, you take them and you arrange them out on a platter. You put your little sandwiches out there. The steak you can do like you did the pasta and salad. You can do that an hour before your guests get there and make these things up. So they're not cold, they're not hot, they're just fine. And let's just take another quick look at the Krauty. You can see that water's getting out of there.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, this is between the caraway seeds, the dark beer, and the limp kraut. It can make if you bought a real high-grade hot dog, you can make hot dogs and sauerkraut into an event. Put a little chili and onions on the side, if you don't want the kraut, but
yeah.
that's about it.
Well, thanks again, folks, for joining us in the dining room as we wrap up what we did in the kitchen. Actually, we did a bunch of nice things that you can prepare ahead of time.
Exactly.
Right, for barbecues.
Exactly.
Well, we're calling it barbecue. We didn't really barbecue anything.
The grillless barbecue.
grillless
or if you're going to
barbecue.
grill something or other, you didn't do the sandwiches, at least reduce it to the steak or something like that, or a few
That's
dogs. You have your own way of doing this stuff. But, we have both the husband and wife working at times and stuff, like a 4th of July thing, for instance. Most people will be working Thursday. You're doing the party on Friday or something. Some of the stuff, then do it on Wednesday, part of Thursday. And then, Friday for the 4th, you can just finish it up. We'll be aired before the 4th, I think, this show, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, we did that sauerkraut reduction there. whatever kind of dogs you want to put it on, or bratwurst. We had our warm pasta and salad. Get that. I like a little vinegar-based dressing, creamy if you can get it. And we did. This is in place of a burger
Those
here.
are great.
Do your own steak, cook it ahead, cook it to order. But you can make these ahead about an hour before your guests arrive, and under the gun you're having a couple tatas with them, and you're not. You're not ready to jump in a boat and paddle out to the middle of the lake screaming, you can't take this anymore. But that's about that. So if anybody,
Okay.
again, too, if anybody had any inquiry as to questioning how we did one or two of these three things from our prior show with the chicken and these, I'd be more than happy to speak with them on the phone, to help them out a little bit.
Great, thanks. Well, I'm not going to call you. I'm just going to come on
Yeah,
down
you're
and
going
see
to just
you.
show, oh,
I'm
hi,
just
Greg,
gonna
hi,
come on
Janet,
down and
jeez.
see you.
Well, you said stop over. Yeah.
Okay, Dan, thank you very much. Folks, thanks for joining us this evening on Cooking with Dan Luzzi, and we will see you again next week.